G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I've got a super exciting video because GS Pro just dropped their version 3 update. It is no longer in beta. We do have the full GS Pro version 3. And the changes that they've made in this version of GS Pro are just incredible. There's been a lot of changes. We've got to go through quite a lot in this video, so sit back, relax. I'm going to go through everything, as always, in depth. I'm going to go through their changelog. I'll talk about all the updates and how they affect you. Okay, so jumping in to GS Pro version 3, I mean, just look at it. It looks incredible. You've seen this screen before. You do have the option to have a static or a video background. I've chosen to have the static background just because the video was okay, but for me it was just a little bit distracting, and so I've just chosen the static background. So I do have the changelog on my screen and I'm going to be ticking off all the items, but I mean, it is extensive. They have done a lot of things with this update. Let's start by going through the settings. I think that's probably the best thing to do. We'll go through the settings and then we'll jump into everything else. So jumping into the settings menu, there has been a few changes, and the biggest thing you're going to see is how it's actually laid out. It's now laid out in all these tabs. So you've got the tabs at the top, you've got the tabs along the left-hand side. And for me, it does get quite confusing jumping through all these tabs, but once you get the hang of it and once you get used to it, it's fine. Instead of going through all the settings that were already there, I'm just going to talk about the new things that they have added with this version. So first we'll start with the players tab, and as you can see, I've just added another player just to have it so I can show you guys everything. With your Simulator Golf ID, this hasn't changed, but if you do join SGT, this is where you put in your code. Apart from that, none of the information on this page has changed. If we jump into the golf bag again, this hasn't changed, but you do have the option now to open your bag locker, so you can have different clubs and different sets of clubs and different lockers. So that is pretty cool. Operation 36 is there as always. Let's jump into the games tab now, and this is where you're going to see a lot of the same menu selections that you did have. So in-game options, you've got the player rotation style, whether you want to play the hole out, putt out, or classic. You can use launch monitor carry. Realism's still there. The system settings. Okay, there's a change in the system setting. So in the system setting now, you're going to get this activate course server. So if you are a Patreon, if you are a member of a Patreon, there's 4, I believe, at the moment for course designers. If you're a member of a Patreon, I'm filming this video and they still haven't pushed out the new course server to actually input into this so you get all the Patreon courses. So this is how you're going to activate your Patreon courses. And also if there's any courses on a server that are not on the GS Pro main server, this is how you are going to activate that. They're going to send you a unique code and then you're going to be able to activate those courses. We do have the on-screen keyboard, which is in beta as well. So if you use a touch screen and you want an on-screen keyboard, you do have that option available in the games tab as well, underneath system. Let's finally go down to one of the coolest things that I think they've added with this new update, and this is the ability to individually adjust sounds now on GS Pro. So unlike before where it was just one master volume for everything, you do have the ability now to go in here and adjust sounds independently. So you can adjust the GS Pro sounds, the core sounds, the menu sounds, and the master sounds all individually. This is fantastic because if you're playing a course where the designer has made, for instance, the birds too loud, the birds are making too much of a noise, you can actually individually turn down the course sounds, for instance, and then that's not going to take away from your GS Pro sounds or your menu sounds. So I think the ability to adjust all of these sounds independently is fantastic, and it's definitely something I'm going to use in the future. Let's go on to visual settings now. So visual settings, there have been a lot of things added, and there are a lot of things that were already there as well. So one of the big things that has been added is this match settings condensed view, and it's still in beta. I will show that off later in the video when I actually enter a match. This, for me, I really like the condensed view, and I'll show the difference between the two. The condensed view essentially takes all of these tabs and it condenses it down into one page, which for me, I personally like. This is a new one as well. So you've got show ball ready indicator. So with this is currently only available for Unicore and Foresight. And what this is going to do is, instead of having your system make a sound, so if you've got a Unicore and you put your ball on your mat in your hitting window, the actual software will make a sound letting you know that the ball is there. Now you can do this show ball ready indicator, and what that's going to do is it's going to visually show you on screen that the unit is ready for a shot rather than you having to use the sound from your launch monitor. So if you've got something like a commercial facility, or if you just don't like having the ring or the sound every time you put a ball there, you now get a visual confirmation that the unit is ready on screen. And like I said, this is only for Foresight and Unicore at the moment. However, fingers crossed it's going to come to more units. I would love to see this for the Pro T. Okay, so moving down, another massive thing they've added is the Show Simulator Golf Tour leaderboards. If you watch any of my videos where I do my tour rounds, you'll see that recently in the beta version that I've been running, you have the ability to get this leaderboard pop up when you're playing, when you finish each hole. This for me, I love it. I absolutely love it, because then you can see exactly what the leaderboard is on every single hole, every single tee shot, so you know where you stand in the field. And you can, of course, adjust how long you want to see that. It's default set to 3. I've just bumped mine up to 5. And then finally, down at the bottom there, you can see that disable main menu video. That is what I've disabled. If I enable that, I'll just show you what that looks like. You can see now on the main screen, I do have a video playing instead of that static image. For me, like I said, I just prefer the static image. So I'll go back to visual settings and I will disable that video. And then, as you can see, it pops up just with the picture. Okay, what else do we have in the visual settings? What have they added? So you've got, as always, you've got the follow camera. You can set it as low or high. So this is where you hit the shot and the camera will follow the golf ball, and you can set how much of a delay you want on that follow. That's always been there. We do have the whole intro fly to animation. I have that disabled. That's where it's going to actually go from the green to the next tee box, and it's going to show you a little intro of the hole. You do have an automatic hole flyover that's currently in beta. For me, if I want to do a flyover, I'll do a flyover. I have this turned off by default. You do now have the ability to change your flyover speed. So I'm going to actually bump this up a little bit just to make it a bit quicker. And you can set the height of the camera you want as well. So we will save and exit that, just so then that saves, and then we'll jump back into the settings. You've got the ability to now change your ball trail color. As you can see, if you've watched any of my rounds recently, I have changed to the blue tracer, and then you do have the ability to make your trail size standard or thick. I have just opted for the standard size. The other thing they've added in the visual settings is now you have the ability to do putting screen offset. This is amazing, because now you can independently do your screen offset with putting and hitting. For me, that's amazing because I actually putt from a different location that I hit to. I like to putt a little bit to the right. And so it's only a little bit. It's only, say, 5-10 centimeters. But that just means now that it's just going to look a bit more pleasing when you actually putt and the ball takes off exactly where you've actually hit from. This is going to be amazing for people who use webcam putting, for people who use the X-Putt, or for people who have radar-based launch monitors that use a different putting system, because now they're going to actually be able to set the offset to exactly where they are putting from. So you can have different offsets for where you hit from and where you putt from. So it's just a really nice feature that realistically they didn't need to add, but it's just amazing that they have added this. And as you can see, they've got this for right-handed players and left-handed players. So it's going to cater for right or left-handed players depending on what you've got selected on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, where it says left and right-handed players. So that is fantastic. I will be setting that up later. So that's all the settings, and that's all the menu settings that they've changed and added. So it's really cool to see those. Some amazing features there that, I mean, honestly, I haven't even thought about some of those things, like the putting offset, but it's really cool to see that they've added those things. Okay, let's now go through all of the different menus on the bottom. We'll go left to right and we'll cover everything off, and then I'll just double check I haven't missed anything from the changelog. So we'll jump into local match. Straight off the bat, you are met with the new filters section, and this thing has been completely revamped and completely updated. So you've got your course library, you've got installed, all courses, favorites. You've got quick links to popular courses, newest courses, never played courses. You've got the ability to sort from name to newest to oldest to the designer to the availability. There are a lot of different options to sort by. You now have the ability to sort also by difficulty. So they've gone through and they've rated the courses. You've got easy, medium, and hard courses. This is going to be fantastic for someone who's just getting into golf. They can go easy courses that are popular, and now they can look at just the easy popular courses on GS Pro. You do have the ability now to filter by country as well. So I think this is great because if you're like me, you live in Australia, you just want to check out some Australian courses, you can filter by Australian courses. It's going to have all the Australian courses there. And I mean, yeah, so I do love that feature. I think that's fantastic. You do also have the ability, I'll just reset the filters. You have the ability to now search by course style as well. So for instance, you've got par 3 courses, you've got beginner courses, fantasy courses, training courses. You've got all these different options. If you just want to look at links courses, if you want to play some links golf, you can select that and it's quickly going to sort by links courses. This is a massive new feature on GS Pro, and it's going to mean finding courses is going to be a lot easier. If you want to just search for links courses and then popular links courses, you can do that. And it's just going to make filtering, and it's just going to make finding those new hidden gems a lot easier. At the bottom there, you do have the reset filters button if you just want to wipe everything and go back to scratch, which I have done on many occasions because you can set up some filters. It can get quite confusing. If you get lost, just hit the reset filters button and start again. So that is fantastic. I do love seeing that new filter section. Let's now jump into a course, and I'm just going to show some of the new features that you get in the actual game. So we'll jump into Prestwick, and this is a new course designed by POB16, and this is specifically designed for my league. If you want to find out more information about joining the league, then definitely check out. I'll leave some videos in the description. But what you can see is in the match settings, I've got that condensed view that I was talking about. So if I go into settings and we go back into visual settings, we can turn off this match settings condensed view, which is in beta, and that's why you saw the words on the screen that didn't look right. Now if we turn it off, we go back out, we'll jump back into Prestwick. If you go into match settings, it's now broken down into these individual tabs and menus on the left-hand side. So for me personally, I just like seeing that condensed view, like I said. So I'll go back in and turn that on. We'll save and exit, and then we'll back out. We'll get back into the course. And as you can see now, the match settings are in this condensed view where everything's just on this one page. So some of the things added. So with the stimp now, you do have the ability to go down to stimp 6 and 7. So there are a lot of people saying that the greens on GS Pro are too quick. For me personally, I think the green speeds are very accurate to what I see in real life. I think a lot of people don't putt on stimp 12 and 13 greens. I don't think anyone ever has, so then they don't realize how quick they actually are. But what GS Pro's done is they've added stimp 7 and also 6. So it used to just be from 8 to 13, you now have stimp 6 to 13. This is going to help a lot of people because, like I said, a lot of people were complaining about the putting speeds being too quick. If you do get lost with any of these settings, you can always click the course recommended settings. If I click that, it's going to change the course recommended settings to what the designer intended them to be. So this is kind of what the course is going to play like if you were to actually go and play that course in real life. When I do that, you can see that the greens and fairways have been changed to links, the wind has gone to breezy, the stimp has gone to 10. On links courses, because it does get so windy, the greens are generally a bit slower. So that is fantastic to see that. Scott has done an amazing job with those settings. Okay, let's jump in and let's have a look at this tournament course though. Straight away, when I click play course, you can see the black loading screen. Thank you for making the loading screen black again. The white one for me, I just did not like it. The black loading screen looks fantastic. It looks amazing. And while this is loading, guys, if you do enjoy this channel, please hit that sub button. I'm on the race to 10,000 subscribers. If I could reach that by December time this year, I would be absolutely over the moon. So a sub would be much appreciated. Okay, welcome out to Prestwick Golf Club. This course is just amazing. Make sure you go and play this course. Okay, I have just gone and loaded it through the practice, on-course practice, so I can jump about. But what I've done is I've turned my GS Pro audio on, and the reason I've done that, I'll try and turn it up, is because I want to show you guys the new volume settings that you can play with and you can adjust. So we're standing on the first tee at Prestwick. I actually have a train track to my right-hand side. But what I'll do is I'll show you guys that actually. I'll jump into free flight mode. So as you can see, I've got the train track there to my right-hand side. Now, if the train track, if the crowd has been too loud, and what I'll pull it up now. So I'll go to the settings, I'll go to the game settings, and I'll go to sounds. I'll turn the GS Pro sounds up to maximum, just so you guys can experience this. As you can hear, we now have the crowd, we've got some birds. When the train goes by, we will actually see the train as well. So there's the train track, and you'll see eventually a train will go by and it will get really loud. We now have the ability to change the course sound settings. So if I jump back into settings, if the birds are too loud, if it's really annoying, we can go to that game, go to sounds, and we can individually turn down the course sounds until we're happy with the volume of the course sounds. You can do that independently now from other things, which is really good. For the GS Pro sounds, say if you want to hit your putt or you're hitting your drive and you want those sounds to be loud, now you can max those out. So I'll head to the putting green. I'll set those as max. I'm on the green, I'll just hit a quick putt. And what you'll hear is when I hit this putt in, the sound of the hole, the ball going in, is going to be a lot louder now compared to the rest of the sound. So independently adjusting different sounds is absolutely fantastic, and I do love that feature. We have had some new menu features or some shortcut features added. So what I'll do is I'll jump up into the settings, I'll go to shortcuts. Now if you look at C and V, these are T left and T right. So if I hit C and V on my actual keyboards, what you'll notice is I'm moving my T location. Instead of using these arrows, I can actually just hit the C and V keys, and that's going to move me left and right on the tee box. And we've also had a shortcut added for left and right-handed players. So what I'll do is if you see in the bottom left it says right-hand player there, if I hit N, it will change it to left-handed player. And I'll hit N again, it'll change it back to right-handed. So there's been a few new shortcut keys added to the keyboard for GS Pro. You also have the ability to change your on-screen UI. So you can see all my settings here, the size of the actual data tiles, the size of the tee box, all of that stuff. You can go in, if you go to settings, and you go to visual settings, you can change this narrow UI mode. So say if you're struggling to see everything on the screen, we can select this, we can turn it on, and we can go to largest, and we go save and exit, and now all those data tiles and everything is just a lot bigger on screen. You've also got the ability with your mini map to make it larger, so then you can see it, you can click around on it, and then you can shrink it back down. You can also hide it. If you hit this little button there, you can hide it. That little bullseye is going to be your laser rangefinder. That's been there for a while. But yeah, you've got the ability to change the size of all these, tiles by going into the visual settings and then just selecting this narrow UI mode. Okay, the flyovers. Let's do a flyover of hole 4 because the flyovers have changed. Apparently they've gotten a lot smoother, but like I said, you can actually adjust them. If you go into the settings menu, we can actually adjust. If we go to, and it's trying to find stuff is quite hard. We go to visual settings, I believe it is. No, camera options. There we go. Visual settings, camera options. We have the ability to adjust the speed of our flyovers and also the height at which they are. You can also toggle legacy if you want to do that. But the flyovers have gotten smoother apparently. So we'll do a quick flyover and we'll just have a look. So I've set mine to a bit quicker. So they are a lot smoother. I like that because originally, anyone who's used GS Pro and seen my videos, the flyovers were so janky and they weren't good. That looks very nice. I really like the look of that. What I might do is I might actually speed them up a little bit. So I'll go into settings and I'll make them a little bit, let's do live style. Let's go as quick as we can. And then we'll do a flyover and let's see what this is. So that is still pretty slow for the quickest setting. For me, I like that. If I'm going to do a flyover, I want it to be pretty quick. So that's a good speed for me. They look a lot cleaner. I mean, they look really nice. Why would anyone... Let me show you what the Legacy looked like, because the Legacy, it did not look good. I mean, it was very janky. It was very slow. I'll show you this. It like went dead straight and then turned, went dead straight. It just wasn't fluid. It wasn't nice. So this is what it used to look like. I mean, to me, I don't know why anyone would want to use the Legacy. Honestly, if I was GS Pro, I mean, it's good that they give people options, but to me, I mean, no. Just go the new flyovers, set it to fast, and happy days. Okay, let's talk physics, because there has been a physics update for GS Pro, and physics, I think, are going to be, a big thing in the future. I think there's going to be more physics and different physics added to GS Pro, but they have done a physics change. But what have they done? There has not been any information that I can find on the physics update, but what I believe they've changed, and I'm going to show a few shots just to prove this. Bump and runs. So one of the biggest problems with GS Pro before this update was the fact that bump and runs, when you hit a shot, it would immediately stop in the world. You'd hit a shot, it would hit the ground and stop pretty much immediately, which was not realistic. I know this is one of the things that GS Pro wanted to work on, and I'm happy to say they have updated this physics, these physics in GS Pro. So I'll hit a shot now just to show you that. So we're 74 yards. I'll get a 6-iron, and I'm just gonna hit just a bump and run. And what I want you to pay attention to is when I hit this, just how much the ball actually rolls out compared to what it used to do. Well, watch that. So as you can see, I mean, it's massively rolled out. It used to, when you used to hit these shots, they would pretty much stop immediately. And I'll show you through the rough as well, because they have changed the physics. If you actually roll the ball through the rough, it does actually roll. It doesn't, get caught up as much as it used to. I'll try and do a shot just showing that now. I'll aim a bit to the left just so I'm hitting through that rough. So when you used to hit the ball out the rough and it landed in the rough, it would pretty much stop immediately on these bump and runs. But now I'll do a shot just to show you. We've hit a low bump and run, and as you can see, it's a lot more realistic how it rolls through the rough. It's not just getting caught up and stopping immediately. It actually does roll through the rough a bit more, as you can see. So that means, if you've got a shot where you've got an overhanging tree and you've got to, roll it up to the pin, I'll just move out of the grandstands. If we've got to roll a shot up to the pin, for instance, and I'll just move my ball out of the way, I'll move it to here. So I've got to roll my shot up, pretend there's an overhanging tree. What it means now is I can actually hit a bump and run it through the rough, and it will actually run through the rough as opposed to, just stopping immediately. So that is 100% been one of the physics updates. The next one, they have actually updated thin shots. So previous to this update, if I go back to the tee, previous to this update, if you hit a thin or sculled 3-wood, the ball would actually just stop. It used to just stop in the physics in GS Pro. Now, I'm happy to say, I'll just get a straight shot. If I hit a thin 3-wood, much like the bump and runs, and I'm obviously not going to hit this full, but if I hit a thinned or sculled wood, it's actually going to roll out like it would in real life, as opposed to just hitting and stopping. So the physics on bump and runs and also those sculled, 3-woods or, sculled shots are going to actually roll out. So those are the physics I know they've changed. They've definitely changed the way the ball runs out on bump and runs and also thin shots. The other things they've definitely changed are the firmness of the soft greens. So they've made the soft greens and fairways a lot softer. So now when you hit chip shots on soft greens, they stop quite quickly, which is a lot more realistic to what you'd see on like a municipal course. These next two things I'm going to talk about, I think there's been a change, but I don't 100% know. And it's one of them's chipping and one of them's, well, I say chipping, but it's more pitching. It does affect chipping as well. If I've got a shot, say this yardage, 14 yards, and I hit a higher shot, I feel like the ball is stopping a lot quicker now on this new update, because I've hit some chip shots where I used to get, say, 10 yards rollout, and I'm not getting that anymore. So I do believe that the way the greens actually react when you hit a higher, softer shot into them, I feel like they're stopping a bit more. These are links greens, so it's going to be hard to show you that, but I really feel like the physics have been changed on these, higher, softer pitch shots that come into the green. So I'll hit a shot, and you can see these are links greens, so that took a massive first bounce. But when I play on normal greens, I really feel like these shots are stopping a lot quicker when I'm hitting them. So, I mean, look at that massive first bounce. You can see they are Lynx greens, but so yeah, I believe the greens have become a lot more receptive on higher pitch shots. This final one I'm going to talk about briefly. I don't know whether there's been a change, but I feel like there's been a change with putting and the way the ball is actually breaking downhill and uphill. I feel like they've changed the physics for putting, and I can't put my finger on it, but I do think that the ball is reacting differently on downhill and uphill putts. Maybe it's the speed, I can't put my finger on it. So those are all the physics. I thought I'd just talk about the physics there briefly. There's some that I know they've 100% changed, and then some that I think they've changed. Okay, so that's going to be all the in-game physics. Now let's go to the big one. This one's huge. Let's jump into the practice tab because this has got a massive overhaul. So we'll jump into the practice tab. First off, we don't have the old practice range that we used to. It's had a massive overhaul. So let's jump into the practice range and let's take a look at the new one. As you can see, visually, it just looks a lot nicer. We've got these new graphics for the backdrop. So the background looks, I mean, that looks amazing. The actual look of this is just different. And a lot of it is the actual background or the backdrop that you can see. The mountains just look a lot better, a lot more in detail compared to what we used to have on GS Pro. You do still have your standard driving range and you can adjust the length of it using the slider at the top there. To me, it looks good. I don't really like how you still get your, overlay of the actual range beyond the pin. I think it would look a lot neater if that, writing on the screen there was hidden when you actually move it up and down. But, I mean, that's just a small minor thing. This thing has been completely overhauled though, because now you can do so much on this driving range. We're going to hit this little drop-down box and just look at all these options you get. What I'm happy to say we have back with this version now is we do have the randomizer. During the beta, the randomizer was taken away. I'm so happy that this is back because what this allows you to do if you select it is it allows you to select a max and minimum distance and then say how many shots you want to hit at that distance. So for instance, I'll hit one shot, I'll set my max distance at 105, my min distance at 66. It will randomly select yardages then. So I've got this set at one shot. So I'm going to hit one shot at 71. Then it's going to change the distance between 66 and 105 yards. This is an amazing feature if you especially want to work on, specific wedge distances, or you want to just work on, your 7-iron and you hit it from 160 to 175 yards. You can then dial in these distances and practice all of the shots in between those distances. I do love seeing that. The randomizer for me was massive and I used to use that a lot. I'm glad it's back now. We'll turn that off. What you can do on this range as well is you can actually set the range width. So we can go minimum distance of 11 yards. So now if you want to be, someone who works on hitting the straightest drive, you can actually set your range width or your fairway to 11 yards. You can also set the green width. So if I move back in, you can see the green width there. If I set the range to, 70 yards, you can actually adjust the green width as well. So if you want to really work and dial in those wedges, you can set a really small green. The minimum width is 11 yards. You can also make it up to 27 yards. So you've got a few different options there. The widest you can make the driving range is 109 yards. So I love seeing that. It just gives you more of a visual indication that I'm standing on the range and I'm trying to hit drivers really straight. I can now do that. I can set the range to 11 yards and then I can visually see the range is 11 yards wide. What I think would be nice is if they could, you can see the two different tones. The light is obviously the fairway and then that looks like semi-rough. What would be cool is if they made this a bit more visually obvious. So, the rough, actually make it thick, dark green, or really try and get that contrast so then it really gives you more of a visual, more feedback. Let's jump into this next section though, because this is probably my favorite thing that's come to the driving range and possibly my favorite thing that's come to GS Pro so far. We'll click on dynamic holes. What you can see straight away is it's popped up with this, hole. And we're basically doing a create your own shot, create your own hole. For the green type, you've got different options. You've got Magnolia, which think of the 12th hole at Augusta. It's literally the 12th hole at Augusta, Magnolia. The green orientation's the same. You've got Rays Creek there. You can set your green type. So we've got Magnolia, which is obviously based on Augusta. You've got the postage stamp, which is obviously based on Troon. You've got all your pop bunkers there. You've got Cypress, which that's got to be California. That's got to be, what's that course called in California? I can't think of it. Anyway, you've got Cypress, you've got Southamp, which, yep, I'm drawing a blank. Put it in the comment section if you know where that is. But yeah, you've got those options. So Magnolia, Postage, Cypress, and Southamp. But that's not it. With styles and architecture now, you can have a solid, hitting area. You can change it to island. You can change it to peninsula. So you've got those three options of changing it to an island green, a peninsula, or solid. You've also got different pin locations. So you can select different pin locations. You can also rotate the greens as well. So you can do a different orientation. Once you're happy with it, if you click apply, now we are doing our shot from 135 yards into the Magnolia Green. So I'll hit a shot real quick just to show you guys that. And bear with me because this is literally the first swing of the day, apart from those chip shots. 135 yards. This probably won't get there. Oh, go. Lovely. That's actually a really good shot. But yeah, you have the ability to design your own hole, and I just think that is absolutely fantastic. You do have the ability to change your distance to this green as well, so you can go back as far as you want, as far forward as 22 yards. And then we also have the ability now to adjust your tee box height. So if you want to work on hitting some shots from above the pin, you can go 10 yards high. You can also go, standard elevation. This is such a cool feature. You can also, I forgot to say, you can also mirror the green as well. So if you want to mirror it, you do have that option. The cool thing about this is you do have a section that just randomizes it. So if I click random, I can now go, all right, I want to hit random shots. I want my distances to be between 65 and 89 yards. I'll have one shot per hole, and then I'll go apply. And now you're just going to do random shots between those distances, and the actual building of the hole is all going to be done for you. So now you can just hit shots. So I'll hit a few shots now just to these pins. I've got a 63-yard shot. It's got to go. That's a lovely shot. And then on your next shot, you'll get a completely different look. You'll get a completely different shot. And now we've got 79 yards. Okay, another good shot, spin. And then, as you'll see, now we've got another shot, 71 yards, and we're 6 yards downhill. So you get all these different shots and all these different areas that you can hit to, and they're all just built for you. I mean, it's just fantastic. Those are three really good shots. So I do love that. I think this feature, if you want to work on your wedges, you can really keep it entertaining. You can keep it fun because it's just going to randomly select a hole for you. It's going to build it for you, and it's going to have you working on things without you even knowing. You're just going to be having fun hitting shots. You can also, so while you're doing this, if you don't like the look of that shot, you can actually change it on the fly. So you can change the type of the hole. You can change the style of the hole. You do have the ability to change it manually while still being in that random section. So that is the dynamic hole section. Let's finally go to the playground. So jumping into the playground, you're gonna have 13 different pin locations. So there's 13 greens. What I might do is I'll enter free flight mode, and you can see this is the playground from up above. We've got different tee locations all around. We've got different greens, and you've got 13 different holes. So this is the playground. You do have this change ball location and pin. So there's going to be 13 different options if you do this. It's going to cycle through all of the different hitting locations and pin locations. Or you can do change aim point. So we can keep our ball in the same spot, and we can aim at all of those 13 different pins. So you've got 13 pins you can cycle through. The other option is you can just change your ball location. So hitting to the same green, we can now choose all these different hitting locations, hitting to the same flag. So there's going to be so many options you can do. And like I said, this is just going to make practice fun. You can also make this multiplayer. So if you hit the multiplayer section, you can make this multiplayer. You can go up to 8 players. And then you can do shots per round. This is all gamified. You can do your scoring measurement of your best, your sum, your average of your shots, different game modes, elimination or rounds, number of rounds. You can do infinite rounds. I mean, it's just crazy. The options and what you can do now with this practice section is just unbelievable. So you can essentially have a chipping competition with people in your room. So if you're like me, you used to go to the driving range as a kid, you used to do chipping competitions, you can now do that in GS Pro. I think that is amazing. So that's the new practice range, and what an amazing job GS Pro has done to not only have your standard driving range, you've got the whole builder, you've got your multiplayer section, you've got your games, I mean, the playground, it's just insane. They've added so much to that section. So moving along, you have the challenges tab. I have covered this in a previous video. You've got Operation 36, you've got all your distance challenges, which are essentially custom skills tests built in GS Pro for you. You can do putting ones, you can do chipping ones, you can do full shot ones. You've got a lot of skills challenges in there, or distance challenges, I should say. Then we go on to custom skills tests. This has been out for a while, but I absolutely love the custom skills test section in GS Pro. I will link in the description how to build a custom skills test in GS Pro. I use these so much. I use these for a lot of things. If I want to work on my putting, I'll create a custom skills test, and so I can actually work on, my putting and actually have something that I can gauge to actually see if I'm getting better. Same thing for chipping, same thing for full shots. The custom skills test section of GS Pro is unbelievably powerful. I highly recommend, if you want to practice with purpose, create some custom skills tests. You now have the ultimate long drive in GS Pro. We're going to go in, we're going to take a look. I'm not going to hit any shots because I have not warmed up. I have done a video on this. I'll link to my previous video. Like I said, you can definitely check this out. Ultimate long drive, this is fantastic. I love seeing this on GS Pro because long drive was one of the sections that it was kind of lacking. We were missing out on long drive, things in GS Pro. We now have a section dedicated to long drive, and it looks incredible. So opening this up, you've got the number of players, so you can add players, you can take away players. You've got for the round settings, you've got your auto start clock. So this is going to be the clock in the bottom left-hand corner. You can have that auto start as soon as you hit a shot. You can select your grid width. It's default to 50 yards. You can put it from 40 to 70 yards. You can do your number of shots, and you can also adjust your time. So if I bump it up to 8 shots, and I'm going to bump it up to, let's go 4.5 minutes, and we go start. As you can see now, we've got 8 shots there, and you've got 4.5 minutes. What I'll do is I'll hit a shot just to show you that the timer auto starts. I'll just chip a 3-wood out there. And as soon as I hit this ball, you'll see that timer just starts to count down. You can see the new physics there in GS Pro. The ball's actually going to run out a bit further. The timer has started, and we're away. We've started our set. And if you hit it in the grid, you're going to get the green symbol in the top left-hand corner saying and the distance you actually hit the shot. You can also change this into day. So you can go day and night. For me, I think the night just looks a lot cleaner. So I do love this section, and like I said, long drive for me. I've really gotten into speed training and trying to gain speed, so I do love seeing a dedicated long drive section to GS Pro. I can see this getting very, very competitive with friends, when they're over. And then finally, you do have your 60-shot skills test, which is the original GS Pro skills test that has been there, since GS Pro, started. Okay, let's back out of that tab. The next tab along, you've got your Simulator Golf Tour, your Tournaments tab. So if you go into this, if you are a member of the SGT, you've got all of your tournament rounds as per normal. And then the online match, again, nothing has changed to this online match screen. One thing I forgot to show off in the Practice tab in the Practice range, let's just jump back into the range because I forgot to show a feature that is actually quite cool. Okay, so I'm on the practice tab now. What I'm going to do is I'll just make my range width a little bit wider. I'll make it a little bit shorter. And the green, we can leave it 11 yards. So I've got 107 yards. I'm just going to hit some lob wedges, and it doesn't really matter where I hit these. Come back over to my computer and hit this expand tab on the mini-map. What you can see there is I now have my shot dispersion on screen. What you've got to do, you've got to actually select this little icon there before you start hitting to have these shots save on the mini-map. If I want to erase them, I simply select that little erase icon there. So this will default be set to off, I believe. You can change the color of them as well. So if we go to green, for instance, I'll hit a few more shots. Okay, we've hit 3 shots there. I did change the distance just to make it a bit shorter. If I expand this mini-map now, what you'll see is I do have my shots there shown in green on the actual map, on the mini-map. If you want them to be a different color, if you want to hit different, wedges, so say you want to, I've just hit those with a 60 degree. If you then want to use a 56 and make them look different, you can change the color of the actual dots on the screen just by, continuing to cycle through the different colors. But you do get your shot dispersion there, which is really cool to see. This is something that they've added, and this is something that I can definitely see myself using. If you want to erase the shots, you simply select this little erase icon and they will just completely go. So that's definitely a cool feature that they've brought to GS Pro. I do love seeing that. To get access to it, you have to have this expanded to the bigger size, and then you can see that little icon pop up. You can, if you want to, still have it there, but not have it on your screen. You can just hit this minimize button and it just goes down, scrolls down into the bar. Okay, that was a lot, but I wanted to go over everything that GS Pro has brought in this version 3 update in depth so you guys can see exactly what they've brought. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, let me know. Any comments or questions, leave them down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.